You won't believe what just unfolded inside a hushed chapel in Houston, Texas. A family that had given the world so much brilliance, now standing on the edge of grief. A daughter, known to millions as one of television's most graceful women, trembling at the podium. And a mother, a woman whose words once captured the attention of Pulitzer Prize committees, now lying in silence, draped in white roses. This was not just another funeral. This was the farewell of Vivian Ayers, the poet, the scholar, the cultural icon who shaped the lives of her daughters, Phylicia Rashad and Debbie Allen, two of the most powerful names in American entertainment. But what happened inside that chapel has left people talking. Because when Phylicia Rashad opened her mouth to speak, her tribute didn't just honor her mother, it cracked open decades of hidden truths, private struggles, and emotional scars that the world had never seen. Some called it beautiful, others called it shocking. But one thing is clear, Phylicia's words were unlike anything you'd expect to hear at a celebrity funeral. So what really happened that day? And why is her tribute still being called stunning, haunting, and even a confession? Let's go inside. The air inside the church was thick, almost electric. Soft organ music filled the sanctuary, rising and falling like a heartbeat. Rows of pews were lined with mourners, artists, scholars, old friends, admirers, and family. A cascade of white lilies, roses, and orchids framed the polished mahogany casket. Vivian Ayers was laid to rest with elegance, as if the very earth itself owed her respect. The crowd whispered, some quietly recalling her brilliance, others reflecting on how her influence had touched them indirectly through her children. She wasn't the household name her daughters became, but those who knew, they knew. Vivian was a giant. And then, silence. The organ faded, a microphone crackled. It was time. From the back of the chapel, Phylicia Rashad rose. She walked slowly down the aisle, her posture regal, but her eyes betraying a weight too heavy to carry. This was not the confident Claire Huxtable that millions adored. This was a daughter, stripped raw, fragile, and human. Every eye followed her as she took her place at the podium. She gripped the edges, as though steadying herself from collapsing under the grief. The hush was absolute. And then, in a voice trembling but resolute, she began, I would not be who I am without her. The crowd leaned in. Phylicia began weaving memories. Nights as a child when her mother would sit with books piled high, her pen scratching furiously, while her children watched from the doorway. She painted a picture of discipline, of a woman who demanded perfection, who rejected mediocrity, with a fierceness that sometimes felt unbearable. She did not allow excuses. She did not permit weakness. Phylicia confessed, there were times when I thought she did not know how to love me, but she did, in the only way she knew. And here, her voice broke. Tears welled. The strength of decades gave way to the vulnerability of a little girl still seeking her mother's approval. She once told me, Phylicia continued, that love isn't supposed to be soft. Love is supposed to make you stronger. Gasps echoed through the room. Some nodded in recognition. Others shifted uncomfortably. Because in those words lay a truth few want to admit. The kind of love that raises icons often leaves scars. Vivian Ayers wasn't just a mother. She was a poet whose 1952 collection Spice of Dawns earned a Pulitzer Prize nomination. She was a scholar who believed art wasn't just entertainment. It was power, resistance, and survival. She pushed her daughters into the arts not as a pastime, but as a calling. But that calling came with a cost. Phylicia recalled days when laughter was scarce, when comfort was withheld in favor of discipline. She would not cradle us when we cried. Instead, she would ask, what did you learn from the pain? Those words hung in the air like smoke. You could almost feel the audience struggling to process. Was this cruelty? Or was this wisdom? Was this neglect? Or was this the iron love of a mother determined to shape giants? Then came Debbie Allen, her sister, with a different tone. She celebrated her mother's brilliance, her creativity, her refusal to bow to the limitations of her time. Debbie's tribute was steadier, lighter, almost celebratory. She told stories of joy, of inspiration, of the brilliance that pushed her to choreography and dance. But make no mistake, it was Phylicia's rawness that defined the day. Her trembling honesty eclipsed the polished recollections, for while Debbie highlighted triumph, Phylicia revealed truth. Now here's where things took an unexpected turn. As Phylicia spoke, whispers began to ripple through the audience. Some were stunned by her honesty, others exchanged knowing glances, as though secrets long buried were finally seeing daylight. There were moments when family members shifted visibly in their seats, their expressions tightening, because when Phylicia described her mother as unyielding to the point of breaking me, it struck a nerve. Was she honoring her mother, or confessing her wounds? To understand the weight of Phylicia's tribute, you have to go back to a little black girl in the segregated South, raised by a mother who refused to let her children be ordinary. Vivian had seen too much injustice, too much limitation. She demanded that her children rise above. That meant no excuses, long hours of practice, strict rules, punishments that were harsh but always followed by lessons. For Debbie, that discipline translated into rhythm, movement, resilience. For Phylicia, it meant learning lines until they were perfect, carrying herself with dignity, never settling for less than excellence. But inside, it also meant tears cried alone, silent questions of why isn't she softer, why can't she just hug me? Those flashbacks, so vividly described by Phylicia at the podium, left the audience silent, haunted, and then came the words that truly stopped the room. I spent years resenting her. I told her once that I would never raise my children the way she raised me, that I would be gentler, kinder. And yet, here I am. I hear her voice in mine. I see her discipline in my children's eyes, and I realize, I am her. And she is me. Silence. It was a confession, a release, and perhaps in that moment, a reconciliation. Every funeral is a goodbye, but this one felt like something more. It was a confrontation with the truth that greatness is born of struggle, that the women we admire, Phylicia Rashad, Debbie Allen, did not simply arrive fully formed. They were forged in fire. In a household where love was steel, not silk, and as Phylicia's words echoed through the sanctuary, you could see it on people's faces. Some were moved to tears. Others looked shaken, because what she revealed wasn't just her story. It was a universal one, the complicated, often painful love between parent and child. As the service closed, the casket was carried out, the flowers trembling with each step. The family followed, Debbie holding her sister's arm. Their faces showed exhaustion, grief, but also release. Outside, mourners whispered, "Did you hear what she said? I've never seen Phylicia like that." It was stunning, and maybe that's the only word that fits. Stunning, because it wasn't just about Vivian's greatness. It wasn't just about her poetry, or her intellect. It was about the cost of that greatness, revealed by the daughter who lived it. So what do we make of this? Was Phylicia's tribute a final thank you? Or was it also a confession? A way of unloading decades of unspoken truth? Was it love? Or was it reckoning? Perhaps it was both. What we do know is this: Vivian Ayers raised giants. She raised women who shaped culture, inspired millions, and carried her legacy into the world. But behind the brilliance, there were scars. And in revealing those scars, Phylicia Rashad gave us a gift. The reminder that even icons are human, and maybe the greatest tribute of all was her honesty.